Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order and read an opening statement. It's afternoon, excuse me. Good afternoon. I'm Loudoun Water Board Chair Terry Allen, and I open this public hearing. If you wish to speak, please take this opportunity to sign up with the board secretary. This is a public hearing regarding the proposed user rates, reclaimed water rates, availability charges, and other fees and charges. The authority, upon recommendation of staff on October 10th, 2024, passed a resolution signaling attention to those rates for user rates, reclaimed water rates, availability charges, and other fees and charges. Notice of this public hearing setting forth the proposed rate schedule was given in the Loudoun Times-Mirror newspaper having general circulation in Loudoun County. This publication appears in the October 18th and October 25th, 2024 editions. The notice of public hearing to be convened was published in November. The notice of public hearing to be reconvened, was published in the November 19th and 26th editions of the Washington Times. In addition, notice was provided on the Loudoun Water website. A recording of today's hearing will be posted on the Loudoun Water website. After a brief presentation by authority staff, members of the public will have an opportunity to be heard concerning the proposed rates. Again, please be sure to sign in with the board secretary if you wish to speak. Each speaker will be permitted 3 minutes to speak. Each speaker will be allowed to speak only once and will not be recognized for a second speech to the board. After calling the name signed up to speak, I will ask if there are any other members of the public wishing to speak. Once no other members of the public indicate they wish to speak, I will ask for a motion from the board to close the public hearing and adjourn the board meeting. Following the comments and upon consideration of any further information that may be brought forth in this public hearing, the authority will consider a resolution to adopt the advised rates at its regular board meeting on December 12, 2024 to become effective on January 1st, 2025. I now turn the floor over to Brian Carnes, General Manager, for a presentation on the proposed fees. As a matter of protocol today, please hold all comments until after the presentation. Brian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Unfortunately, Mr. Heider from Stantec Consulting is under the weather today, so I will be presenting on his behalf. So we'll talk about user rates, reclaimed water rates, availability charges, and then finish up with some other developer fees. Starting with user rates, a little bit on the process and background. This was a collaborative effort between the board staff as well as our rate consultant, Stantec. Stantec conducted an independent evaluation of cost of service and presented it to the board on September 25th. We followed that up with public advertisement in the Loudoun Times-Mirror and Washington Times, as well as a letter to customers, meeting with industry groups, and we are holding public hearings to solicit feedback from all interested parties. So Stantec is recommending 7% rate increases for fiscal years 2025, 2026, and 2027. And you can see what that does to your quarterly bill for a customer using 21,000 gallons per quarter. This is what the fixed charges, 7% increases look like for the next 3 years. The top line is residential and the following meter sizes are scaled up for commercial. That's the water. And it's the same on the sewer, 7% increases for 2025, 2026, and 2027. The proposed consumption rates per 1,000 gallons going up 7% for the next 3 years. Your residential has 3 tiers, your commercial has 2 tiers, and sewer is a uniform rate for both residential and commercial. A little background, our rates are based on providing cost of service. So customers are charged in proportion to the services they use. So those who use higher demand pay more. And we use cost of service based approach to comply with state statutes, which precludes utilities from setting rates in an arbitrary and capricious manner. So Stantec's approach, they look at our revenue requirements based on forecasting of operating and capital expenditures, including debt service. They then forecast the revenue based on demand and our current rates, and then evaluate whether that is sufficient to meet the revenue requirements and maintain our ability to meet your financial policies, including reserves. So some of the key drivers for the study include a significant capital program, $1.5 billion over the next 10 years. That includes both system expansion and system replacement, as well as actual cost escalation that has been higher than previously forecasted, including power and chemical costs, as well as our bulk purchase costs from Fairfax County Water and DC Water. It also includes funding the Repair and Replacement Reserve Fund. Some of the assumptions going forward: 5% escalation costs for personnel and electricity, and then 3% for general operating expenses. Growth is based on county projections, though slightly reduced because not all growth in the county is in our service area. 22% of the CIP is funded by user rates through 2029. The rest funded by availability charges or debt. And it does forecast a borrowing in the next 5 years of approximately $162 million. This last slide is a bill comparison of quarterly residential customers. The one note here, as Stantec noted, is that the only county that we know that has approved 2025 increases is Fairfax counties, though we know, for instance, Prince William is going through the rate study right now and will be approving increases as well, but that is not reflected in this chart. Next, we'll talk about reclaimed water. They are also recommending a 7% increase for the next 3 years. And you can see what that cost does per 1,000 gallons, $1.80 to $1.93 in 207, 221. Availability charges. This is for new customers. Our policy is that growth pays for growth. And this is to recover the cost to provide additional treatment, transmission, distribution, storage, and collection facilities. This charge is not intended to fully fund the capital program. Some of that will be funded by debt, and some of it is funded by your user rates for your replacement projects. They are recommending increases on the water side for the next 3 years of just under 5%. And on the sewer side, it starts at 9.7 and then goes to 8.8 and 8.1. That is for the next 3 years. And this is a comparison chart of our availability charge. We are on the higher end, and then the same comment as on the residential chart is we don't know what the increases in the other utilities will be in 2025. Moving on to some other fees and charges. As part of the study, they did investigate some of the ancillary fees, and they are recommending some changes. The inspection fee currently is a minimum, and they're recommending we replace that with a base charge, and updating the percentages of applied plan review and inspection fees for non-linear projects, as well as updating the connection charge to a meter charge. And they're recommending that we make a jump to recover those fees in 2025 and then increase 3% for the following 2 years. So this is what those fees look like. Again, you'll notice inspection currently has a minimum, and that is moving to a base. And then at the bottom, the plan review and inspection fees for nonlinear projects was currently a flat 2.5% regardless of cost, but they are recommending we scale that down as costs increase on the project. And then finally, some other fees and charges. Most of these are also developer fees, and these are designed simply to recover the cost of labor and materials to provide these services. Next steps, this will be on your agenda to consider action on your December 12th meeting. Public comment can be provided in writing up through the December 12th at noon. If approved, these rates will go into effect for bills rendered on or after January 1st of 2025 for user rates and availability charges and other fees. And with that, I return it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Carnes. I'll now recognize members of the public who have signed up to speak. Mr. Bob Moses.
I'm Bob Moses. I've been here I got it. Got it. I have some recommendations, and the recommendations are that we scale back a little bit of the infrastructure that we're doing, and that we think about who's been doing the largest demands and the needs, and put that balance on, and scale this stuff back so that at least the increases are in the neighborhood of 3.5%, half that. Now, all of you are political appointees. I know some of you on the side, and I've actually talked to the supervisors, and I've mentioned that this rate increase with a lot of people is feeling very tough. This is literally the third rail of politics. You step on this rail, and there'll be a complete change here, and there'll be a change in the supervisors. I guarantee you this. And again, I've been in politics 30 years and helping politicians. This is the third rail of politics. You got to scale this back. 21% in 3 years is absolutely ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. Bill, do we have anyone else signed up in person to speak? Do we have anyone online? Okay, Mrs. Wazelsky, can you hear me? Would you like to speak?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Shannon Mazelsky. I've been a resident of Loudoun County for almost 2 years now, so newer to the community. And I certainly appreciate this report. Is certainly eye-opening for me to understand where Loudoun County gets their water from. One thing I've come to realize very quickly, as we all know, is that the data center sector has been growing at an alarming rate in our county. We have 3 times more than the second highest concentration in America and the largest concentration in the entire world. I found a wonderful report by Mike Turner, who is on the Loudoun County Board of Supervisors, that came out just over a month ago now about the impact of data centers on our region. And he had a good quote saying, "We've invented the airplane, but we just haven't realized we haven't yet invented runways." I think that is a very accurate statement as to what we're seeing in this area. As we know, data centers consume a lot more, both power and water. I found a report from the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory saying that mid-sized data centers consume around 300 gallons of water per day, which is the same as around 1,000 US households. In addition, they are going to expect a 72% increase in demand on reclaimed water, which is part of the Stantec report, page 28. Yet the report only suggests a 7% increase on reclaimed water rates. In addition, data centers will require more than just new sewer and water main, but also treatment facilities. I strongly believe these treatment facilities are requiring us to borrow water at very high margins from places like Fairfax County and DC, as mentioned in the report. Those numbers seem to be uncapped. I mean, a 40% increase in 3 years alone. I don't know how we're going to manage that when we're expecting our data center size to nearly double in the next couple of years. And lastly, there's a heavy focus in this report on funding for capital improvement projects, but there's no mention in this report on what that entails. I expect that that's expansion to keep up with this data center growth that is, quite frankly, out of control. And most alarmingly in this report, it seems that there were a lot of increases to the consumer rates, people who are residents and neighbors of this community. But the only decreases I saw in this report were for those developers. So 7% increases for the people who call this county home, while Loudoun County Water is only giving its employees 5% salary increases. So that's not only a pay cut for them, but the rest of us who don't see increases in our paychecks every year. Well, these data centers are bringing in millions and millions of dollars in revenue every year. So I'd really implore the board to take another look at how much data centers are contributing to the cost of expansion and cost of the debt that we have incurred from these capital improvement projects, as they seemingly, according to the example bills in the Stantec report, are using 1,000 times plus more than our residential customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Maselski. Jewel, is there anyone else online signed up to speak? Okay. Do you know who the person's name is? Is there anyone else online who wishes to speak? Okay. All right. With that, I will conclude the meeting and entertain a motion to adjourn. It's fine. Someone second that? Second? All those in favor of adjourning the meeting? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.